Welcome back everybody to another Repair University teardown. Today's subject is this GE dryer, and we're gonna tear it down and show you some key components that are known to fail on this particular dryer. Let's get to it. We're gonna need a 1/4-inch driver, and we're gonna start at the back side, removing this cover plate right here. Take your time, various screws. Here we go. This right here is the heat shield. Get that one out of the way. All right, here we go. This cover here, lift it, and got another 1/4-inch screw. That's your grounding wire. We can just remove that also as well. Go. Do remember to reinstall the grounding wire. Very, very important, because if you don't, it could cause issues with the functionality of the dryer. Now we have a 1/4-inch screw to your left that holds down the UI board, the control board. Remove that. They're really, really long, so be patient. Takes a bit. And we have one here to the right. All right, here we go. And now on this, 2 hands pull towards you and lift. Flip on over, and that exposes now the control board. This sends various signals and power to components of the dryer. And we're gonna go ahead and disconnect that. So we do have a few pinch connections here. This runs to the UI board right here. And we have various relay connections. Just pull them straight off. Some of them can be a bear, especially if the machine has never been taken apart. Another pinch connection right here. Pinch, lift. Various other ones. Just go through, removing all your connections, just like that. And now, very, very important, you're gonna wanna grab yourself a standard screwdriver, and you do have a diagnostics port right here at the UI board on the back. You simply just push in, and that releases the diagnostics port. Now, let's go ahead and also remove the control board, which is a very, very common failure on a lot of dryers that are controlled this way via control board. We're gonna go through, remove these 1/4-inch screws. Okay, and now we have several Phillips screws also holding down the whole control board. Actually, let me grab myself a Phillips screwdriver. We've got one here by this relay. Remove that. We've got one up here, kind of tricky to get to by this other connection. Here we go. Okay, here we go. And one here at this corner. There we go. And now we have 3 holding down this little plastic cover. We got 3 Phillips screws. Just remove that, because when the new control board comes in, you're gonna have to transfer over this little plastic piece to the new control board. Just like that. Nice and steady. All right. And, oh, we got one over here in the corner as well. Kind of hard to get to. There we go. There we go. Get the screws out of the way. Oh, I'm forgetting one right here as well. We also have one by this center connection as well. And now that releases the main control board to the dryer. Just like that. Now we can stick these screws out of the way. Move the whole UI board with the control board out of the way. Okay. Now we have 2 Phillips screws, one to the left, right here. And one to the right. Okay, now that these two screws are removed, we'll come to the front of the dryer. We're gonna open up the door, and we do have one Phillips screw here and one to the left. Those have to be removed because we will be removing the door pretty soon. So remove those screws. Okay. Pretty long, so just be patient. All right, here we go. So now this whole top can lift up and slide back, get it up out of the way. Also, these top ends right here, you look at them the wrong way, they'll crease. So a lot of times you can literally take your fist and pop out most of that dent, which is a really well-known thing amongst a lot of dryers. Might as well do it while you're at it. Okay, we'll go through now and grab either a Phillips or 1/4 inch driver here and remove left screw and right as well. Okay, and now this door can come forward, but carefully because you do have some connections here. This connection right here is to your LED bulb inside the dryer. So go ahead and squeeze, disconnect. And now you can kind of wiggle it around, get it ready to come off. But also you do have a couple other connections here to your door switch. This one, you grab it really, really strong right here, really, really firm, and just pull it out of there right there, just like that. And you do have moisture bar right here, a moisture bar on the inside. So you want to disconnect this connection too as well. Just pinch it and disconnect it. Now here's the tricky part. Every now and then, they kind of grab on really tight to the bottom insert. Next up, we're gonna be removing the whole drum. To do that, we have to release the belt, which is a little bit difficult. We gotta get up in here with one hand. Be careful because there are sharp edges that can cut you pretty easy. And you wanna grab the belt, and with your other hand, you're gonna come in on this side and pull down the whole tensioner bracket, the pulley, just pull on it to the right, and that will give you enough wiggle room to remove the belt off the motor pulley, and that releases that. And now the belt's released, we could go ahead and pull this out of here. Out comes your belt and your whole drum. There we go. Now we have our heating element, and we have various leads running to thermostats and to your bottom and left side. Really, really important to take note on these GE dryers. This purple wire is known to basically fry, just burn up, and you lose heat. There are kits out there in the aftermarket that sell this replacement purple wire to resolve this issue. So we're gonna go through and we're gonna basically disconnect all these leads to gain access to that heating element just in case it needs to be replaced. And also a lot of times to replace these thermostats, it's a little difficult with the heating element in place, and you're better off removing the heating element than replacing the thermostats. So here we go. Just pull on that. Let's go ahead and release all these leads. There we go. And these heating elements here are pretty robust, but they can fail. They have a pretty good design here. Okay, 1/4 inch driver here. We're gonna go through, come on in here. Kind of hard to get to. There we go. Go through removing the screws. Oh, it's not lined up, that's why. There we go. Here's your secondary one. Third. And now, lastly, your fourth right here. All right, here we go. Now with your heating element removed, this exposes your thermostats. And if you have a bad one, you could go through and check continuity on them to see if they're bad. Every now and then they are. And like I said, however, this is a robust heating element. It can fail, and you can check continuity from this lead, these two leads, to this one right here. There you go, there's your heating element. All right, here we go. Next up, we're gonna wanna remove the motor with the blower, because every now and then these motors can fail and they need to be replaced. To do so, you have your main connection here, and you go ahead and pinch, you basically squeeze, and pull your main connection right out, just like that. And now you also have another thermostat here at the blower housing. Let's pull the leads off. Pull them off. And you have a thermistor here at the bottom. Also pull those leads off carefully, just like that, okay? And we'll go through removing various 1/4-inch screws at the front. And GE had this thing in here pretty tight, which is a good thing, because you don't want your motor wiggling around while your clothing is drying, because that causes damage to your blower every now and then. So you want it nice, firmly seated on your chassis of the machine. Here we go. Go through removing various screws. We also have a Phillips screw here. Really long one, and a secondary right here. Okay, cool. And I believe we do have one here at the bottom as well. Remove that one. Just like that, boom. Okay, now for your 1/4-inch driver, we do have a few screws here at this end, holding this down to the cabinet of the machine, the motor. Remove those. I believe it's about 4 of them. Okay, and we do have one down in here as well. Okay. Now, before we remove the motor and the housing, we got to come around and remove this 4-inch ducting that runs to the back of the dryer for exhaust. Let's come around. Here we go. And we do have a 1/4-inch screw holding down this ductwork here. A little bit hard to get to, as you have to be at an angle. And now just pull this straight out. That's your exhaust tubing. All right, let's come around and pull this motor out. Okay. Gonna start pulling forward. Could be a little tricky here. We also have this wiring harness that runs through the blower housing. Remove the wiring harness that runs through. Just like that. This runs to your door switch. And now we do have a trip switch right here, and we have no access to it before, but now we do. Kind of hard to get to it at the corner. We want to remove these leads that run to the trip switch for the belt. That trip switch also, I'll show you guys in a minute. We also have a grounding screw here, 1/4-inch grounding wire screw. Remove that grounding wire. It's a lot easier once you get the motor out of there. Before we remove the motor, we do have this wiring harness here that runs through, and we need to remove that to get the motor all the way out. So we'll lean this forward and carefully grab the top end right here with your hand. And we do have this piece here that holds that wiring harness down to the cabinet of the machine. Get in there with your fingers, squeeze it, or along those pliers, and pop that out of there. Now, here we go. Now we can move this wiring harness, snake it through the bottom of the motor, get that all out of the way. We got a little twisty here that holds everything together. And voila. Here we go. Here is your motor, your dryer belt trip switch for your tensioner. This also is known to fail on these machines. and your blower wheel and your blower housing, and also your operating thermostat here and your thermistor as well on the blower housing. And of course your motor. All right, cool. And here we go. This right here is your belt tensioner. Every now and then these could go bad. And it's a lot easier to remove the motor than pull this guy out for replacement. This is your belt tensioner and pulley. However, pretty robust, but they are known to go bad every now and then. All right, here we go, everybody. Here's a really, really good opportunity to talk about this dryer and the set issues that it has. For example, on your GE dryers and Hotpoint dryers, you're gonna hear every now and then a squeal or an intermittent squeak or a squeal that's all the time happening, right? So very, very important that when you start hearing stuff like that, that you take it apart immediately and start inspecting it. Good example right here. So we have 4 slides, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you take note, the slide here, here, and here are completely gone. Actually, this one slipped down inside the front bearing, and what happened is this tab that holds it in place literally broke off. So this dryer here was neglected, they ignored the sound, and what happens now is that the whole front bearing is gonna need to be replaced because we're missing the felt to quiet and clean, and we're missing the slides, and this tab is broken. So more money down the line if you ignore those sounds. And I just wanted to show you guys that. So what happens is the drum, the weight of the drum rests on the top of this, and it'll start eating away at the slides, wearing them down completely till they're literally nothing, they're pulverized, or they end up slipping down in there. So super, super important. Also, I wanna bring this up is your lint. So your lint trap goes down in here, and you got circulation holes right here for your air to flow through. You'll fill up with lint right here. The dryer will take twice as long to dry, if not 3 times as long to dry, wasting you more electricity and more wear and tear on your dryer. So good idea, take it apart, get a brush down in there, clean it up really well, remove the lint. Not only is it a fire hazard, but like I said, wear and tear, longer dry times leads to disastrous results like this. So now talking about the door, another common issue on this dryer and just about every dryer is your door catch. Now we do have a door catch here, right? And we have this guy here, so when you close the door, that catch is supposed to come into this, but sometimes they just don't line up well, or your door catch breaks, which you can see right here, the door catch has broken on this particular dryer already, and it needs replacement. So it no longer closes on its own. So instead of slamming the door a whole bunch of times, go ahead and replace this catch and resolve the issue. All right, now we're shifting our attention to the motor and the blower wheel and the housing. Really, really common to get lint buildup in the housing as well. And also your blower, every now and then, if you don't have your lint trap in place, you could get a foreign object down inside and it will catch up on the blower wheel and damage the blower wheel and the fins, resulting in replacement of the blower wheel. So really, really important to always have your lint trap in place to avoid damaging this blower wheel and also keep it nice and clean. In this situation, you can see where it has a lot of lint buildup. So this is good to take it apart, brush it down, clean it up, put it all back together. And now we're gonna turn this, and we do have a thermostat here, an operating thermostat, and every now and then this could fail, resulting in no heat. So good to grab your own meter and check for continuity between both leads if you lose heat. Now we'll turn it over, and we have a thermistor here. Now this sends a signal back to the control board, letting the dryer know if the clothing is dry or not yet, and to either add a minute to drying time or subtract. If this thermistor is dirty or goes bad, you'll notice your time is jumping up and down on your control board readout, and that's letting you know that this thermistor may not be doing its job correctly anymore, and it's time to replace it. Okay, moving on to the motor. Also, the motor can get weak at any given time. You do have a centrifugal type deal here, where a switch right here, where when it turns on, it clicks over and you have contacts in here. These could burn out this could result in many issues. Hey, then it's time to replace the motor. If you're having any start issues or you have a weak motor, time to replace it. Okay, now talking heating element on this particular machine for your GE and Hotpoints. Like I said, they are very robust units, but every now and then they can go bad, resulting in replacement of the heating element. Really good design, by the way. And like I mentioned, your purple wire runs to this lead right here, and that purple wire can fray. There are replacement kits for that purple wire that run to this lead. Very important that before replacing that purple wire, to get a file and clean up this blade really well on both ends so you can have a good seated surface and making a good solid connection. And we do have, of course, more operating thermostats that can fail, and they need to be checked for continuity with a meter. And also you do have your other your other thermostat here that needs to be checked, because every now and then these machines can overheat, resulting in a blowout of this thermostat right here. There you are. Okay, here we go. Now talking UI, AKA user interface. These can go bad from time to time, resulting in flaky readout, bad LEDs, or buttons that no longer want to work, and that will have to result in the replacement of the UI board. And here is your control board, and this control board goes mounted on top of that UI board, and this also can go bad. Relays get wiped out, blown capacitors, control board chip, you name it. You might have a burn lead on the backside, and then this control board can either be repaired or just replaced in general. Here is your belt tensioner. These are pretty robust on these machines, but they can go bad. I've seen it a few times, and pretty general, easy replacement. So if you have any play in this pulley wheel, excessive play in it, it's time to replace the whole assembly. Also, your GE Hotpoint dryer belts, they are a common snap failure issue. And what happens is if these snap, this tensioner here comes up against the trip switch of the dryer, and it will stop the dryer for safety reasons, because you don't want heat coming into the machine and the whole drum stopping, and that could cause a fire. So pretty easy replacement on these belts, and a very common failure issue just about every dryer. Moving forward on your GE dryer drum, pretty robust, good units, but like we talked about, if you let your front bearing slides wear out, what happens is it starts cutting into this as well. And I've seen some where they literally have holes worn into this smooth surface that runs along your front bearing and your slides. So if you're noticing any weird noises and stuff like that, you might want to visually inspect the rim of your drum for excessively worn spots or even holes right through it. And if that happens, this has to be replaced, the whole drum. And also I want to talk about lint buildup on this particular design. So your heating element's obviously on the back side, and you have these holes here on this grate. So your heat comes in through here. Now what happens is you could have excessive lint buildup blocking these holes, and that is kind of a dangerous thing and a fire hazard. So what I like to do is one of two things. You could remove this grate with these 3 screws and clean it out really good, or even better and quicker, remove the drum, take it outside, and take a blower to it and remove all that lint that's down in there. Super important on these, and that's a maintenance item that needs to be done to ensure optimal heating and to prevent fires as well. And also lastly, we do have a rear bearing, and this rear bearing, however very stout, can wear out, resulting in squeals and squeaks on the backside, and does need replacement. And for that, you literally just lift on it. Very basic rear bearing design, made out of some type of composite material. Does need to be replaced from time to time because they do wear out and they cause that squeal and squeak, like I said. And to reinstall, you simply just push it down in there, just like that, folks. And there you have it, a few key components on this machine that can wreak havoc, and maintenance items that need to be addressed on these particular machines. Y'all have a good day.